Hi, welcome in. It's Shaped by Kate. Today we are going to shape up our body to go into a crow pose for our yoga flow. So go ahead and start at the top of your mat in mountain pose. If you didn't want to do crow pose, that's totally okay. This is a great flow just to open up the shoulders and hips and strengthen your arms and core. Take a quick moment here in your standing position to focus in on your practice today, finding your inner strength. On your next exhale, tuck the chin, find your forward fold, find that Uttanasana pose. Hang heavy from the hips. Think about that belly pressing towards your thighs. Then on your inhale, flatten out your spine, hands come to thighs or the shins. Bend your knees to plant your palms on the mat and step out into a plank position. Inhale, shift forward, exhale, lower down to the earth. Uncurl the toes, inhale to your first cobra pose. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the hands away from the earth just to take away any pressure from the lower back. Exhale, plant hands back down and shift back into your downward facing dog. Even though heels don't ever have to touch in downward facing dog, I want you to constantly be thinking about those heels pressing down into the earth. Take a breath or two here. Feel that extension in your spine and your legs. Then on your inhale, I want you to look towards the top of your mat and take one big step or two steps to a half lift. Again, find that length in your spine shooting forward, and then exhale, slowly start to curl the spine down, find a deeper forward fold. Bring awareness to your tailbone trying to point to the sky. And then on your exhale, point the tailbone down, round up, find mountain pose again, completing your first sun salutation A. Then heel toe the feet to the outer edges of your mat, heels in, and sit down in Malasana pose. For support, squeeze the arms and knees together to find a little buoyancy or lift. If you don't need that little extra support, then bring your Namaste hands to your forehead or third eye. On your exhale, bow forward, shoot your hips to the sky, and find a forward fold. You can release your hands down to the floor. Bring your toes in. Let your hands hang heavy. Your inhale breath should be pulling your body towards the earth. Find your half lift, flatten out your spine. Bring your toes back out and sit your hips back down into Malasana pose. If twisting is in your practice today, let's bring our right palm towards the center of our mat and our left hand to our left knee. If you feel like you need a bigger twist, then you can lengthen both arms. Find a half or full breath in this twist and then come back to center. And let's go to the other side. Left hand to the center of our mat, right hand to our right knee, and then maybe lengthen one or two arms. Breathe out as you shift back to center. And then if it's okay with your hips, come down onto your glutes. If not, find a tabletop and then come down onto your glutes and back. Take about 3 rounds of breath just to settle down onto your mat, and then we're going to be heading into a reverse tabletop. So our hands and shins are going to be pressing into the ceiling. If you don't like flexing your wrists, you can also just point your palms towards your knees. Keeping the knees parallel, on your exhale, I want you to bring your knees towards your armpits, lifting your tailbone off the mat. Touch your arms and then come back down. If you're watching me, it looks like a very small lift, but it's going to feel like a lot when you're just lifting that tailbone and a few vertebrae off the ground without any momentum or swinging. Use your exhale breath to your advantage as you try to bring those knees up as high as possible. These are your crow pose crunches, and these are a great warm-up when you're going into crow. Now let's make it more like that pose. So let's bend our elbows generously, just like in chaturanga or crow. On your next exhale, I want you to bring your knees to your armpits and just hold that pose. Keep breathing, and even if the spine falls down, I just want you to pick it back up again and keep holding. This is a great modification if you don't ever want to do crow pose on your hands, if you have maybe wrist problems or shoulder problems, or just need a break from your hands. Find one more inhale to exhale and release. Hug the knees into the chest. Rock side to side. Option to stay here or intensifying that stretch, finding a happy baby pose and rocking side to side. Activate your stretch by pressing your feet into your hands, hands press back. Exhale, bring your heels together, release your hands, clasp them behind your knees, and do a gentle yogi sit-up back to a seated position and kick your knees behind. Walk yourself back to the middle of the mat in tabletop position, and let's find our cat-cows. Welcome in any rhythm or pace to your cat-cows, imagining the vertebrae flexing and extending. Then, since we will be on our wrist, go ahead and find neutral tabletop and flip your fingers to face your knees, wrist facing forward. If that feels really intense, stay there. If not, find a cow pose. Continuing to add on, you can find a cat pose with your wrist in this position and move back and forth. Another option is just to rock forward and back. Another option is just to rock forward and back. Now let's flip our back hand onto the earth. Again, if that's too much, just stay there. If not, find a cat pose. Gently lean back, curl the fingers in. Release and curl the fingers in again. Good. Bring that hand back to your neutral position and flip over to the other back hand. Do the same thing. Find your cat pose, curl the fingers in. Release the hands back into a neutral position and let's find downward facing dog. Settle into your pose, bring awareness to this downward dog versus that first downward dog of the day. You can even sway your hips side to side if that feels nice. Now we're going to start back at the top of our mat. So take a big step to your half lift, exhale to forward fold. Really make this intense so you can wrap your palms around the backs of your legs. And then inhale, roll up to standing. We're going to intensify our sun salutation A just by adding in some hops. So when you're ready, tuck the chin, find your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, hop out into plank. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Take your time coming back into downward facing dog. Pedal out the heels. And then we're going to hop back into that half lift whenever you're ready. So lift the heels, bend the knees, and hop into a half lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to roll up back to our starting position, mountain pose. Now let's find our crow pose. So if you're at the very top of your mat, maybe take 1 or 2 steps back and bring your feet slightly wider than hip width distance apart. Then tuck your chin and slowly make your way back to a forward fold. Take this time also to maybe stretch out your wrists by placing your back hands against the floor or against each other. When you're ready for crow, plant your hands shoulder width apart and bend your elbows and knees generously. Knees hug into the triceps, triceps hug back. Lift your heels and hips, look forward, bend your elbows and slightly dip your shoulders down and your feet will float off the ground. If they're grounded, keep them grounded. Think about your elbows in that chaturanga pose. Then from here, I want you to inhale and exhale out, hop your feet into chaturanga, inhale to your upward facing dog. If that seems like too much, I'm going to show the modification here. You'll first find crow pose, and rather than hopping both feet out, you'll still extend one leg into that chaturanga pose while the other leg stays in crow pose. Then after that foot finds its spot, you'll extend the other leg into chaturanga and finish off your flow. Whichever one of these you decide to do, make your way back into a downward facing dog. And then we're going to try to hop our feet from a downward facing dog to a malasana. The point here is just to keep those hips lifted throughout the jump so you have space to bring your feet wide, and then exhale to then set those hips down, find malasana pose, maybe even roll out the wrists. Take a moment to think about your crow pose and think about your crow pose into a chaturanga. Whenever you're ready, you're just going to make your way from Malasana to forward fold to standing. Let's find that flow again. So if you hopped out with your more dominant foot the first time, let's hop out with our less dominant foot the second time. Let's find that crow pose at the top middle part of our mat again. Use an exhale breath to bend the knees and elbows, and use an inhale breath to lift the heels and hips, shift forward, and then exhale to bend the elbows a little bit more and dip the shoulders to find that crow pose. The jump out to a chaturanga uses a lot of energy, so to find a little bit more, I want you to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth as you hop out. It feels easier as you're shooting those feet back. Then use that inhale breath to find upward facing dog. Good, come back to downward facing dog. Now continuing to add on to our sun salutation, let's try jumping from our down dog to our crow pose. This, of course, never has to actually be done in your yoga flow, but it's a great kind of mental practice to think about what you have to do in your crow pose, from both your upper body and lower body being extended to bending them and being crunched up into a small ball. So let's try that. Lift the heels high and bend the knees generously. Gaze is slightly forward. If you want maybe just a little practice, shift that body weight over your wrist, lean back. Exhale out, bend the elbows, bring the knees to your armpits, and you can see my toe dip down just for support. Either way, your toes are behind the heels of your hands, and you're going to set your hips back down into Malasana. Then go ahead and rise, find your mountain pose, bring the feet back in. Beautiful. Think about that flow again, and we're going to go through it this time with a little less cueing from me. Exhale, fold. Inhale, prepare for crow pose. Exhale, shift forward and fly. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a moment to think about that down dog jumping into crow pose. Inhale to prepare, bend the knees. Exhale, jump forward, crow pose. Inhale to exhale, Malasana. Breathe it out and roll out the wrists. Inhale, rise, mountain pose. Beautiful. We're going to find that flow one more time, this time without any of my cueing. I'm going to be showing the modified way. Also remember, this is your yoga flow, so if you've had enough of crow poses, then you can just either take 0 or 1 crow pose at the beginning and end of your sun salutation. Whenever you're ready, find your flow. If you're still in that flow, take your time coming back to the top of your mat. If you're already here, bring your hands to heart center and just take this moment to send a little honoring message to yourself for practicing that sun salutation, for being strong and well balanced. Then we're going to finally find a restorative pose. We're going to make our way back down to our hands and knees and find a child's pose. Sit your hips on your heels, arms reach forward, and then the palms are going to flip towards the ceiling just to release those wrists and shoulders. Breathe here and let that tummy feel heavy against your thighs. Thighs feel heavy against your calves. Calves feel heavy against the earth. Now to release the arms more, let's reach our arms to our feet. And then we're going to just set our forearms down on the ground, and then palms are going to open up to the ceiling, finding a deep roundness in the shoulders. Start to quiet your mind. If you have maybe a struggle with quieting your mind, then just count your breaths in your child's pose. Beautiful. Next, inhale in, roll up to a hero position. If that feels uncomfortable, then find a seated pose. Just going to open up our arms a little bit more. Let's bring them to cactus arms. Stack right elbow over left and find your eagle arms. Draw a line up and down with those stacked elbows, moving that stretch along the back of your spine. Find stillness, unwind, find your cactus arms, and now stack left elbow over right. Draw that line up and down. Release the arms, find cactus arm position one more time, and then kick your legs behind, find your seated pose, and then make your way down onto your spine on your mat for our last pose. Stretch your legs out to the top of your mat. Open your palms by your side. Sink the shoulders away from your head for your Savasana position. If there's another modification, take this moment to find your modified corpse pose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth or nose, deepening that relaxation into the earth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth or nose. Last breath in together. And exhale out. I leave you here in Savasana. Bring awareness back to your mat. Your next breath in releases you from that stillness. You can add small movements like wiggling the toes or big movements like an overhead stretch. If you're heading to fetal position, let's tuck the knees in our chest, rock side to side, and fall over to the left or right. And then make your way up to any seated position. Hands find heart center. Gently bow your head forward and your body as respect to your flow. Namaste.